Welcome to episode 190 of Respawn Aim Fire, the kick-ass irreverent gaming podcast in the age of Cyberpunk 2077.
You can't say
from
AIDS.
Affable Idiots. I'm age. I didn't say AIDS, Chad. I said age.
Oh.
The age of Cyberpunk 2077.
You can say age.
I'm Holden DePardo, and I am here with...
Chad Michael Carrot.
Your name is Carrot now. And we've got the dreamiest fan base of all time joining us from all over the world right now. You can find us on Twitch, where we are right now, kind of, unless you listen to us later on. But right now we're on Twitch. Sunday nights at... Yeah, let's not on Twitch. Sunday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and then YouTube and podcast services Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, which you are listening to right now. Coming up, we are talking about the Game Awards winners and announcements, the Halo Infinite update that we got, just how Nintendo, I wrote jerks, how Nintendo are assholes, and finally some great news for PS5. But before that, like I said, this is the age of Cyberpunk, and we're going to talk about how great Cyberpunk's launch has gone so far. They've sold 8 million copies before launch, so 8 million pre-orders. That's amazing. 1 million
insane,
concurrent
actually.
players. It is really insane, yeah.
Like that's
1 million
Rockstar level stuff.
Yeah, and we'll come to that too. We'll come to that because we'll get to that. It hit over 1 million concurrent players on stream in less than 12 hours, and whatchamacallit, The Witcher only got 90,000. So getting a million concurrent players is crazy. So Witcher 3 did, which is a really popular game. Anyway, Cyberpunk 2077 sales have already covered its costs, but okay, it's not all good. It's not all good because Cyberpunk is looking rough on PS4 and Xbox One at the moment, says Ethan Gatch, Kotaku. It's also looking rough on PC, depending on your specs. It's also looking rough on next-gen consoles. It's looking rough pretty much everywhere. But the last-generation consoles are particularly bad. Like, really bad. Not only has Ethan Gatch from Kotaku experienced frame rate drops, UI and texture pop-in, and an overall layer of fuzzy lighting and jagged reflections, end quote, but he also can't update the game to the more recent version to get rid of all of those issues.
That's a
Even
meta
the game,
bug right there.
Yeah,
it's not just a bug in the game, but the game itself is bugged.
Even re-downloading the game still gives him the pre-patched version of Cyberpunk, which is probably more of an issue with this console than Cyberpunk at that point, but it's like a really terrible bug to have alongside everything else. Because of all of this kind of bad news around just the lead up to the launch and kind of some questionable reviews in terms of calling out the bugs and that kind of stuff, the stock dropped 29%. Which CD Projekt Red stock dropped 29%. And then the kind of silver lining to this is that Cyberpunk 2077 developer bonus scheme has changed after the launch woes. And this is basically because of all the bad press, they're going to give, CD Projekt Red's going to give all the employees their bonuses anyway, whereas before the bonuses would have been tied to the Metacritic score and releasing at within a certain time frame. So they're just getting the bonuses regardless. So there's good things and bad things that have happened this week, but let's be honest, the press around this launch has been very abysmal. Carrot, you've been on the other side having not played it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Carrot?
I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was like, oh, that's right, I'm Carrot. I was so thrown off. Is this what it's like to be on the other side of me talking?
Sometimes, yeah.
How do you follow anything I say?
Challenges
I completely
are fun.
lost my train of thought.
Where
launch.
are you falling?
This has been
because you haven't played it, but it's on the other side. There's interesting stuff nonetheless.
Yeah, this has been one of my favorite weeks in video games. I'm not playing Cyberpunk 2077 because the more and more I think about it, the more and more I realize I don't like open world games for a variety of reasons. So I'm not playing Cyberpunk 2077 because it seems like open world the game.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
I am glad to see that the game itself, if in a hypothetical world it were playing flawlessly, is really, really good. That makes me feel less guilty when I take so much pleasure in Googling all the biggest bugs in Cyberpunk. Like, it is literally every single time I'm in my news app and I'm just scrolling through, anytime there's like a screenshot from Cyberpunk where it says the funniest things, is like immediately before I'm done reading the headline, I click on it. It's like, let me read all of these and go through all these tweets.
They are some of the craziest bugs I've ever seen.
It's insane.
Like, they're insane.
Like, they range from like really small things, like on PS4 versions. Actually, apparently across all versions, there are really, really slow texture load-ins to the point where like character models look like colored versions of the super hot guys, just like crystal polygon people, and they look disgusting, like PS1 level character models.
Yeah. Literally PS1, I was actually thinking one of them, I think it's like loading in a character named Sergeant Santiago or Officer Santiago, and when he loads in, before he loads in, he looks like Solid Snake from PlayStation 1. Like, literally looks just like Solid Snake. It's really bad. That's on PS4, though.
Yeah. So that's been really great. Seeing all of the AI for, like, there's one where there's a string of cars. There's a guy on a corner, and every single car that drives by him rams into a cement barrier and then yells at him. Every single car, just because the AI is broken and is running into shit. Cars flipping, people being in T-pose, clipping in and out of cars, audio completely overlapping other audio, like people riding motorcycles and then the motorcycle flies away and then they're suddenly flying as if they're riding a motorcycle throughout the level. It's fantastic. I'm having a blast looking at all of it.
Cyberpunk is for everyone. It's for everyone.
It is. I feel terrible, absolutely terrible, for all of the people who bought this game on last-gen consoles. I mean, aside from, even current-gen consoles are not doing great. Like you mentioned, you've had countless crashes now. I think you're in the double digits.
Between 15 and 20 crashes since Thursday. That's really bad.
Yeah, and
Thank God the SSD is fast and does not take long to get back into the game.
That's always good, yeah. But for them to have come out with this game, I think it's deceptive. I think they were deceptive about how they released this game because reviewers were only given PC codes. They weren't given any other consoles. They were not allowed to use their own captured footage in their video reviews. So people just had to trust what they saw or trust what they said. And then as soon as the game drops, suddenly all of this comes to the surface, and it is just like, if I were excited about this game, I know that you and a lot of people are powering through it and you're enjoying the game regardless of the bugs, but if I was excited about this game and I was looking forward to it, and I'm one of the millions of people that wants a next-gen console but can't get one due to bots and supply demand, all that kind of stuff, I would be furious that I pre-ordered this game. And people are getting refunds for it. Like Sony is refunding people if you call and you say you want a refund for it. And there comes a point where you're like, delaying the game again is a joke. And you're like, oh my God, just freaking release the game. But then if you're going to release the game like this, don't release the game.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to just call out what Pork Chop Brent said here, and we'll work towards it. I think the conversation is going to naturally go here anyway. But he's saying, hey guys, you talk about if you believe reviews should focus on bugs and glitches. I'm iffy because I think consumers should obviously know what they're getting into. But I also believe once a game is patched in a month, the reviews will be outdated and people will think it's still bad. I think it's a really good point. We're going to work towards that because I think that's where this conversation is going to be heading. Yeah, I agree. I think it's really deceptive, like what they did. And I think you had even called out, like, this is not going to run well on current gen consoles. And I was like, no, it's going to be great. They've always been planning for this to be on a current gen console or messed with my console generations here. Last gen consoles, not current gen. Because they started working on it in 2012, or at least that's when they announced the game.
And so that's the narrative they've been telling us. They've been telling us, listen, next gen is not even a priority for us. We haven't even started thinking about that. This is a game for current gen consoles. Well,
and to add that to that deception, they said, and I retweeted this article actually, they said recently that it runs surprisingly well on last generation consoles. What does that mean, surprisingly well, when on a PS4 base, according to Digital Foundry at least, it runs at 720p 15 frames per second? Is that surprisingly well? It's baffling. It really is baffling. And I'm curious if patches, how much that game needs to be patched and if that can be patched out to begin with. Or we're just going to have a sub 20 frames per second base console experience on the last generation. It's bad.
It's very bad. I honestly think they should have what would have been right for them and what's right for the customer is delay the console versions. If you have to release this game, release it as is on PC. People are used to glitches with lower configurations on their PC. Like that, they understand that. It's going to look great on people who have the latest and greatest if they're able to get their hands on it. But I mean, look at Doom Eternal. That just came out this week on Switch. And it came out way back in, March on everything else. Like, it's a normal thing to say, hey, it's not going to be ready for this platform, therefore we're not releasing it on this platform yet. And the fact that they did and then didn't tell anybody it ran like shit, I feel like is egregious.
Yeah, especially when they're telling reviewers, don't use your own footage, we're not giving you console review copies. And here's the thing is I really feel like the bugs and the glitches are so bad, they should have just let reviewers release the footage, because now it looks worse because they told them don't release your own footage. When they saved themselves 2 days? Like, what did that really gain them? Like, it's so weird. The whole thing's incredibly messy. This game just I think the releasing on PC first and consoles later is a good idea. This should have come out in 2021, whenever the next gen upgrade's going to come out. It should have just come out at that point, where they can say, like, hey, it's coming to consoles, and if you have a PS5, here's the goodies you're going to get for that. It's out. Enjoy it. It would have made way more sense.
Yep.
It's baffling. It's really, really baffling. And I think that kind of ties now into kind of Porkchop's question. Should the reviews have been the focus, or should the glitches and bugs been a focus in the reviews?
If you think about get down to the point of a review. What is a review for? People are going that to find out, is the game good? Should I buy the game? And a lot of times people are looking at that to make their purchase decision on day one. They're looking to say, should I buy this now or should I wait for it? That's kind of the core function of a review is the game good? Should I buy it? Should I do it now or wait? And if you leave the glitches out of it, assuming that they'll be fixed. First of all, there's a danger in assuming that they're going to get fixed, because a lot of studios might not have the resources to fix it post-launch. They have to start working on something else, or they don't sell enough and they go under. There are so many reasons why they might not be fixed. With CD Projekt Red, obviously, that's not necessarily a concern. But then you think about the review, and a lot of people are going to be looking to this to figure out, oh, how does it run on PS4? Should I buy it on PC or should I buy it on this platform? Which one run? And we have all these videos, the graphics comparisons of Xbox versus PS4 versus PC. Like, those are what reviews are for, to let you know where you should buy it and when you should buy it. And if you leave the glitches out of it and just tell everyone, oh yeah, this is an awesome game, the story is amazing, the characters are great, and they get a piece of trash, then the review did not do its job. Now, to your point, Porkchop, in the chat, you said these will be patched out in a little bit and the review will be out of date. It's kind of more common nowadays for people to go back and update reviews. Sometimes they'll revisit it a year later and they'll make their reviews updated, especially if there's been a major overhaul in systems or graphics or bugs or something like that. And I think that's a better approach, especially for high-profile games like this. Like, that's obviously someone's going to be able to go back and say, hey, yeah, by the way, this got fixed, or re-edit that review later. But it's because that's the purpose of a review, I think it is essential to include that information in there.
Yeah, I agree with absolutely everything that was said there. I mean, even with multiplayer games, there's the next year update on this multiplayer game. And with this, considering the scale of Cyberpunk 2077, not the game itself, but of its impact on the industry and kind of all eyes being on it for so long, I'd be really surprised if we didn't see updated reviews. I don't think it's going to happen within a month, though. They've done 3 patches this week, and it has definitely not been enough, even those 3 patches. And they were meaty, huge, updates as well. They were not small, insignificant. They were really big updates. So I feel like this is going to be a few months before it's looking better. But then there's the current gen question. Based current gen consoles, that's the real, I think, elephant in the room right now. Can that get fixed? I don't know. Like, I was thinking about another game recently. They kind of had bug concerns when it first came out. The 2 that kind of come to mind, Control was one of them, where that had like some kind of bugs and things to work out, but those seem to be like specific to the hardware, whereas like PS4 Pro was struggling a little bit more than the PS4 for some reason in certain instances. Like there was odd things there. Like there was just something in the coding they needed to figure out. Whereas this is, and the other one being No Man's Sky, but that obviously worked itself out. This is different because it doesn't seem like the game could run on a PS4 base or an Xbox One base. Like it's so at 720p, bringing the resolution down that much, making it so there's basically no NPCs in the world almost at all. It's still not running great. So like I don't know how that's gonna play out. I have a lot of questions and concerns there. So in a few months, I think the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X will probably be fine. They're kind of they're in the same range of The Witcher 3 when that came out. I went back and looked at where The Witcher 3 was with its bugs and issues. I remember there were some things, but going week by week for its launch period, it was not the same thing as what we're experiencing now with Cyberpunk. Like, yes, PS4 was hitting about 23 frames per second as opposed to the 30 and higher that you would get on PC at the time, but that was smoothed out and they weren't as significant. Seems like PS4 Pro is kind of in that same ballpark, putting all the bugs and stuff aside, like the weird objects being thrown around. That will get fixed. I'm confident in that. I feel like PS4 Pro and Xbox One X are going to be fine. It's the base consoles that I'm like, ooh, in a few months, what is that going to look like?
Right, and that's the 115 million people for PlayStation 4. That's the 50 million people on base or One S consoles.
Mm-hmm. So it's going to be really interesting to see that play out. And I also feel really bad for the employees because I think this is a management problem. I don't think this is an issue with the employees or how capable they are in terms of, art direction or development, programming, that kind of stuff. I just feel like management wanted to get this game out in time.
Yeah. That's 100% what it was.
That's
if that was not the case, then they would have continued delaying the game. They would have... they wouldn't have crunched it off. They're like, this is obviously not going to be something we can fix in 6 weeks. Let's, delay the console version. Release the PC version, delay the console version.
Mm-hmm.
And what blows my mind is the fact, like they mentioned that it went gold back in September. And they literally said going gold means you can play it from start to finish. And the game is feature complete. And it's like, this game is not playable. It's not even playable now. 3 months after you've gone gold. How the hell did you play that in September?
Yeah, I've heard a lot of differing definitions of what going gold means. I've heard that. I've also heard going gold just means that everything is in the game and we're not adding in new quests and stuff and all that. It's all there. It just might not be perfect. But that kind of goes back to the whole conflicting messaging and how kind of things have been all over the place. I think that's kind of where we're at with Cyberpunk right now. I guess my question to you is, in a year, do you think this will be like a No Man's Sky kind of story, or do you think this has marred or tarnished the name Cyberpunk too much already?
I think this will continue to be a joke for the rest of video game time. People, similar to how we referenced the people with no skin on their faces in Assassin's Creed Unity, and this will continue to be that kind of a joke. But I think the game itself will be fixed and different and be running totally fine across most platforms. But it's hard to forget that first impression.
Yeah, absolutely. Pork Chop says in the chat, obviously every company is run by guys in suits, but I also don't pity the people making the decisions because people would have lost their shit if it was delayed again, but it definitely deserved another big delay. I hear what you're saying there, but at the same time, this is so bad. I think this is way worse than if they had delayed it again.
People are also losing their shit about how bad the game is running right now. I think a delay would have been, it's whiny, but they'd have been losing their shit over something they didn't pay $60 for yet.
Yeah, and to kind of offer a comparison, I think people have kind of settled down on Halo Infinite being delayed out of the launch window. Like, obviously, there's the concerns of, like, Xbox didn't have anything, but I think people are generally pretty understanding. It's like, hey, you needed to do a big delay. And I feel like if they just came out and said, hey, we wanted to get released for the end of the year, but we're not giving you a date. It's just going to come out at some point next year, and we're going to figure these things out. There would have been a shit show for sure. The jokes of, when's it going to come out, 2077? All that stuff would have continued. But like, I think the point Chad made, like, this is something that's going to be remembered in gaming history, period. It just is going to be. And another delay wouldn't have been that memorable. Chad, do you have anything else to say about the kind of launch experience before we move on to the game itself?
No, that's a great transition into playtime for you, because I would love to learn about the good of Cyberpunk 2077 while you've been playing it.
Yeah, so I'm not going to talk about any of the issues I've had. I feel like I kind of already said that with the crashes. I will have there too. I've seen a few bugs. Nothing on the level of. Good job.
So that's ice cold water, and I'm wearing shorts that kind of rode up a little bit, and that was ice cold water on my bare naked thighs.
That's funny. I haven't had any glitches on the level of what we're seeing online. Like, literally nothing. I've had a few funny ones, like I've called my bike to, because you can call your horse to you in a game.
Yeah.
You can call your bike or your car to you, and it will just drive up because it's like automated like that. But I've had it a few times where it's like, it says it's 3 kilometers away, and it's just showing it like 2.9 kilometers away, 2.8 kilometers away. And I'm like, usually it's here in a second. Like, why is it 3 kilometers away right now?
Driving in
Like,
real time and real speed.
Yeah. And I had another time where I called my bike, and it turned out it was really close to me. It was like basically right next to me. I forgot I left it there. Mm-hmm. And it started to drive away from me. And I tried to call it back, and it just kept driving away.
Have you had the dog
definitely
glitch?
had some, like,
the funny glitch where your penis hangs out?
No, I haven't had that one.
That's maybe my favorite.
I have had, though, like, suddenly I'll look in the mirror and I have no clothes on at all.
Ooh.
I've had
X-ray
that.
vision.
Yeah. But then I also have, like, the whole, like, in Dogma, how the angels look when they're naked. They have no genitals at all. Yeah. Like, that's what my character looks like, even though I gave my character a penis.
You spent all that time choosing a dick, and then it doesn't even show up when you're naked. Oh my god.
And but yeah, the point is, like, my glitches have not been that bad. Being on PS5, it's running at 60 frames per second very consistently. So, like, I'm having a smooth experience in that regard. When it crashes, I can jump back in relatively quickly. I've been quick saving a lot, so I'm not really losing that much progress. So, like, that's kind of my bug experience. All that aside, let's talk about, like, the content of the game itself now. And one of the, I think, big criticisms I've been seeing of this game just on Reddit is, why isn't this game this, like, cyberpunk life simulation where, like, everything is 100% realistic? And, like, yeah, I can see that, because Cyberpunk has kind of led that on, or CD Projekt Red kind of led that on a little bit with, like, showing how Ripper Doctors work in that 45-minute demo. And it turns out that was all story content. Like, that was you introducing to a character, and I feel like they overhyped in that regard, but on its own, it's a first-person, like, Bethesda-style Western RPG. That's what it is. It just is in the setting of a cyberpunk world, and looking at it through that lens, it's magnificent. It's absolutely magnificent. It's really engaging in terms of the content, the story, the characters. I really feel like my decisions matter, although I'm having this, like, hard time discerning to what degree they matter.
Because it's
and
so
I really
well,
want to play it again.
Like, woven
it's
into it.
so smoothed out. Yeah. Like, when you make a decision, it feels like a natural decision that could have happened in a fully scripted game. So it's like, is that exactly what was supposed to happen, or is that just them doing a really good job with the variability in the decisions you can make? But, like, comparing some of the things that, like, me and Dallas have had, we had very different experiences in a mission called The Pickup. Watching videos online as well of that one mission from the people's perspective. I mean, I don't want to spoil anything at all, but depending on how you play things out, it can get violent. And I faced an entirely different set of enemies than other people faced, because the thing shifted around that much, which is a really cool thing to see. Like, oh, these decisions can have a really big impact. Later on in the game, I've been trying not to look at what other people are doing, because I just want to experience the story for myself.
Yeah.
But I'm like really excited to play another run through and see if I make different decisions, what happens. I've already gotten some hints that there are just storylines I just have not seen at all and will never see in this run through because of decisions I've made.
Yeah.
So that's really, really cool to see. It's really impressive. I haven't gotten this feeling of dialogue being a part of the game and interaction with the world being a part of the game since Mass Effect. Like, that's the last game that really gave me that kind of impression. And the point I kind of want to drive home there is that's not a technical thing. That's not like the power of PS4 can handle it. Obviously, it can't. Ha ha ha. It's ha ha ha. It's an artistic thing. Like, it is. This is just a lot of planning and a lot of work on the story and just good writers. This is an artistic thing. And so to see that kind of pulled off is a huge achievement, and I want to commend them for it. Whether the decisions really have variability or not, I'll see in a second run through, but I'm already impressed with how things play out anyway, that I'm happy with it. It's fantastic. And I don't want to spoil anything in the story, so I'm not going to talk about the story at all. There are big moments that are really surprised you. There are moments where I gasp at the screen and I'm like, oh, no, that did not just happen. Like, it gets really, really good. It's fantastic. The RPG elements of it are also really, really good. They do a really good job of making you have to pick a path to go on. So, like, I'm not as strong, or, like, I can't rip doors open and stuff like that because I've just invested in the hacking so much. But that means that I can do some really, really cool stuff when I'm dealing with enemies now and sneaking around and being stealthy. I can turn off their eyes so they can't see me, because I can hack into their system. I can stop them from moving completely so I can better sneak up behind them and like snap their neck and throw them in a dumpster. Like, there's just like all these really cool hacks that I've developed over the period. And then the hacks are basically like spells. So you have a certain amount of RAM that you can use to enact these different hacks. And then you can, add perks or different cyberware devices to your body so that you can, you can have your RAM fill up faster, or just how many slots you have. Then you get into like the cybernetics and like attaching different parts to your body, and you can get different operating system units that give you more modules for hacking. So you get more to kind of like quote unquote spells you can keep with you. Like, all that stuff is really good, and all those elements also tie into the open world and the exploration. So like, there's these Ripper Doctors that are around that kind of give you some of those perks, but different Ripper Doctors, some of them will have largely the same things, but other Ripper Doctors will have like a legendary version of that one ability. So just by kind of exploring and going to different Ripper Doctors, you might get better perks. Like, I found one Ripper Doctor who gave me what was it? It was a skeleton module. I can't remember what part of the body, but it basically upped my armor by 200. Which is a lot, like a significant amount. So my armor level is really high because I explored and found that Ripper Doctor, and it tied back into the RPG elements by speccing me in a way that worked well for the build I was going for, because I was kind of vulnerable before, but now I'm better because I explored and found that. So just all these elements play in really, really well with each other. And as just an RPG, it's really, really excellent. I'm 100% in the honeymoon phase of this game, so I'm not going to say, like, it's the greatest RPG ever. I'm going to play it a few times probably, because I can see myself doing that. But I'm kind of, like, in that early honeymoon phase of really, really loving it. It's on my mind constantly, and I can't wait to keep playing this. And goddamn, I can't wait for, all the glitches and crashes to get resolved. That's kind of where, that was a long-winded thing, but that's kind of where I'm at.
How many hours would you say you've been playing it?
I know exactly the amount, and I will not say because it's too many. No. It is a shocking amount.
It's been out, what, 48 hours now? Or no, 72 hours, right?
It's less than that. Oh, the game has been, I've not played 72 full hours, no. It's been out, 96 hours now? It's been 4 days?
Oh, because it was Wednesday night.
But I've not played 96 hours.
Okay.
I'll say this. It's very much like Zelda. When I got Zelda, and I accounted for knowing I was going to be only playing Zelda, so I basically just played Zelda, then slept and ate, and then played more Zelda. It's been like that with Cyberpunk.
All right.
Which is part of the reason why I think I have 20 crashes, because I've just played that much. But yeah, it's really, really fantastic. I think it's a shame that they launched it like this. Like I actually kind of hurt a little bit because I'm like, oh, if they had waited, I wish that the talk about this game was about how good it is. But CD Projekt only has themselves to blame for that. So,
and what's unfortunate,
Dallas like, tell us, you coward. I'll just say I've put about 40 hours into the game.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I put a ton of time.
That's not bad.
And that's a lot. Over 4 days. That's like 10 hours a day on average.
I put in
that's a crazy amount.
32 hours into The Last of Us over 2 days when that came out. The Last of Us Part 2.
So we had very similar experiences in that regard then. Yes, it's been very much like that.
Or maybe it was slightly less. Maybe it was like 25 to 28 or something. But I put a lot of hours within those first 2 days of it launching.
I showed mine, Dallas. You have to show yours now. And you too, Pork Chop.
Dallas is always showing his because he has the penis out glitch. Yeah, unfortunately, you think about, that's the discussion that's going to be happening not only at launch, but that's also the discussion for the majority of players. Of the 8 million copies sold, a staggering percentage of those are playing on last gen consoles.
And I feel like I almost feel bad people got that experience because I'm enjoying PS5 and I'm like, I'm really lucky that I got to get a PS5 and experience it like this. Because remember, one of my big reasons for not wanting to get a PS5 at launch, because before Demon's Souls was announced as a launch, was, well, don't worry, Cyberpunk's coming to PS4, so I'll be fine.
Yep.
Thank God. It's actually a very Cyberpunk moment. A decision I made had long-lasting consequences I did not realize.
Very good. Very good.
It's good. I will, not to spoil anything, but just to call out a few missions that was just like on point. That was really good. Early on, the pickup and the heist are fantastic. Look out for a mission called Dream On. It blew my mind.
You mean
it's
like the episode
crazy
of
fucked up.
Glee when Neil Patrick Harris guest stars and him and Mr. Shu sing Dream On?
That's exactly what happens. Damn it, why'd you spoil it, Chad? It's great shit. Wait, Brent, you're only 7 to 8 hours in, but didn't you beat the prologue already?
Dude is main pathing this game.
Oh, you got to explore around more, man. You're gonna wish you did. Trust me.
If we know Dallas, he's running into every single wall, every
go
corner.
See someone named. I think Brent actually called this one out. There's one called Cloud. I think it's called Cloud. But you go to this place called Cloud, and that's a really good mission. It's a really
Is this something
really
that you see us maybe one day doing like a review discussion or a spoiler chat for?
Yeah, but I want to give it time because I really want people to experience, like Brent and things like that. Like, you got to put more than 7 to 8 hours into this game before we do a spoiler chat of it. So yes, but in a little bit.
Cool.
In a little bit. That's all I really played this week. I tried to get GTA 5 done, and instead I just watched a lot of commentary on Cyberpunk instead. So I did not put any time into GTA 5, but I will. I will do that again. Cool. Chad, tell us about how you are a huge jerk for beating a Man-Eater in your first try in Demon's Souls.
I did. I beat Man-Eater my first try. Didn't even sweat. 2.5 minutes. I sent you the video of me doing it. It was great.
I haven't got a chance to watch it yet because I was playing Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I'm having a blast with Demon's Souls. I'm excited for us to talk about it. Probably, I've now beat 3 of the 5 Archstones, so we'll probably be able to talk about it by the end of this week, maybe. So again, look for that.
Man-Eater was the hardest boss for me. Hands down hardest boss. So I'm like, Chad, get ready for Man-Eater. It's going to be so hard.
Nope. And I just got this Insanity Catalyst too that like almost doubles my magic power, but it halves my MP. But I've been finding a way to make it work. It's good. Anyway, so I played Demon's Souls. Again, we're gonna have spoiler chat, review discussion-ish in the next week or so. I've been playing Destiny 2. The boys and I finished all of the Beyond Light like quests and things like that. We're just kind of wrapping up some side things, getting fragments, and I am loving Stasis, the new freezing power, a lot more than I did when I started it. When I started, I was like, oh, I can see this is getting a little bit of, like, it's cool because it's new, but I don't know if I'm going to use it, and now I'm basically using it exclusively. It's awesome. We are looking to raid soon. Raid suggested power level is 1230. I just checked today, and I am 1239. So I'm ready to go. So that means any of you who are used to raiding with us, maybe Joel, if you want to go out there and you want to purchase an additional $60 expansion on the PlayStation 4 or PlayStation 5 to play along with us. I know Jerica's out there with her girlfriend. They're ready to raid, so I'm excited. We're getting ready. And then, Holden, I played something new this week on an Xbox Series X, and it was Minecraft Dungeons.
I was very surprised to see this on here.
Yep, Minecraft Dungeons. So let me tell you a little bit of a story. 4 or 5 days ago,
I get water, but I have AirPods in. I'll still hear you.
You're going to still listen to my story. 4 or 5 days ago.
Oh, yeah.
My nephews and my niece were here for school. My mom kind of facilitates them going to school while their dad and mom are at work. And during lunch one day, I came down to get a glass of water and go right back upstairs to work. And I came downstairs, and my nephew Matthew, who's 5 years old, says, "Uncle Michael," and they call me Michael because that's my middle name and that's what my family calls me. "Uncle Michael, have you played Minecraft?" I was like, "No, I haven't, but I see you guys play it all the time." He's like, "Have you played Minecraft Dungeons?" I was like, "No, but I wanted to. That looks cool. I like games like that." He was like, "Well, you can't play Minecraft Dungeons until you play Minecraft. And first, you have to learn things. Do you know how to craft?" I was like, "No, I've never played Minecraft." "Well, you craft with the X button. And then, do you know how to fight?" So he walked me through like 20 minutes of how to play Minecraft so that he could prepare me for what it's like to play Minecraft Dungeons. And so I left them with the usual, like, "Yeah, that would be fun to play. Maybe we can play sometime soon." And yesterday I get a text message from my 9-year-old niece. It says, "Are you working today? If not, let's play Minecraft Dungeons." And I was like, "Okay, let's do it. Let's play Minecraft Dungeons." So I busted out. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, you have, your video is frozen. There you go, you're back.
That was weird. To be fair, Minecraft's hard to figure out. There's a lot to do in Minecraft.
It sounds like it. And they were like, and then you have emeralds. And emeralds are better than diamonds. They're the best gem. Do not get gold. Things with gold are trash. They break all the time. And so they were telling me all about all the stuff. So then we get on Xbox Series X. I boot up my Series X for the very first time since I opened it and played 10 minutes of Destiny on it. And I bought a 3-month code for Game Pass Ultimate during Black Friday for like $20. So I put that in. And then we got online and we played together. And what was really cool to see, actually, step back for just a moment. They were playing on an Xbox One original. But with Minecraft Dungeons, you can't play 2 people local co-op while also playing online with someone else. So we were like, "Oh, man."
Lame.
And their dad was like, "Well, maybe you'll just have to play one at a time and take turns and share." And I was like, "Wait a minute. You're an Android guy, aren't you?" So I was like, "Matthew, do you have the Game Pass app on your phone? And I know you just got that Stadia controller for free like I did, and you guys aren't using that. Can you pair that to the..." So his phone was also at 10% battery. So he rubber banded his phone to a wireless charger so he could plug in the Stadia remote to the controller, because remember, you can't do that wirelessly still. And then they were playing Xbox Game Pass on his phone while another one was playing on the TV, and then we were all 3 playing. It was pretty awesome. So we were playing along, and this game is surprisingly fantastic for like a thing aimed for kids. It is an action RPG. It is a ripoff of Diablo, but without the complexity of character classes and skill trees. But they still have all of these RPG elements tied to gear. So like randomized gear dropping all the time. You're looking for the next loot. You save merchants in each level, and then they go back and they join your camp so that you can buy other randomized stuff. And the gear itself is really cool because it'll change up the gameplay completely. So in the 2 hours that we played together already yesterday, I got a bow that ricochets through people. Every third arrow goes through people. I got armor that whenever I got hit, it electrified people around me. But then I got another piece of armor that after I broke that down and put enchantments into it, every time I would roll, it would leave flames behind me. So like, it really expands the way that you can play this game just by swapping out pieces of gear all the time. So it's a really cool, surprisingly deep RPG, action RPG, that is fun to play. Like, the enemy types are unique and dynamic. Like, you're shooting, there are archers, there are really hard archers, there are creepers that explode, there are regular kind of rank and file enemies. There are mages that if you leave them alive too long, then they'll make the other enemies bigger and harder to beat. And it's like, all of this for a kid's game. These kids are fucking obsessed with Minecraft, and then to be able to play something like this is so cool. It brings me back to the days of playing Diablo with my brother, and there's even like you could steal loot. Like it has instanced loot for a lot of things, but there are some treasure chests that you open up to give you like supplies, like bread and arrows and stuff like that. And I'll like open it up and I'll steal all the arrows, and it reminds me of when we would play.
You know what it sounds like?
What?
Sorry, go ahead. You go ahead. This is your thing. Go ahead. Sorry.
So, and when we would, in Diablo, like you would hear a ring drop, and it does not have instant loot in Diablo. You hear a ring drop and you hear the ding, and no matter what you're doing, you stop fighting whatever you're fighting, and you're like moving your mouse all over the screen. Where the fuck is that tiny ring? Where is it? Where is it? Because you don't want the other person to steal it, and rings are valuable. So yeah, I'm having a blast with it. I'm really looking forward to playing some more. I gave my brother the PS4 Pro that I had before, and they ended up buying it on that as well. They bought PlayStation Plus so that they could play, and it's cross-platform play as well, so you can play Xbox and PlayStation together. And so what they're going to do is they're going to remote play the PlayStation on her iPad from now on, so she doesn't have to steal Dad's phone. And then my nephew Matthew will be on the TV with the Xbox, and then I'll be playing on my Xbox. So it's fun, good, wholesome, quality time with a surprisingly deep Minecraft game.
What it sounds like to me, because I was kind of going on about like how it's Diablo, but like Diablo Light. There's a really important place for games like that. Something like Diablo could be very overwhelming, maybe not kid friendly. I haven't played Diablo, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, all sorts of like demons and hell and blood and goats.
Yeah, and even just like really complicated systems.
Yeah,
too can be kind of. It kind of
especially
reminds me of
figuring out a
Pokemon.
skill tree with like skill points that you can't reallocate after you've done it. It's permanent choices like that. Yeah, that could be tough for kids.
Yeah, it's very akin to how like Pokemon is to RPG games. It's like, oh, Pokemon's just a baby RPG. It's like, yeah, but there's a place for that. It is complicated if you want it to be, and it sounds like this is kind of like that too. It's a simple game, but if you want to make it more complicated by working with different perks and different types of armor and stuff, you can do that. So it actually sounds like a really well-balanced game in those regards, which surprised me because it sounded like, when we first heard about it, like a gigantic cash grab. Like, how can we make more money off of Minecraft? But it sounds like it's really good.
It is.
That's good to hear. That's awesome.
I will not play it just because I have to play with my niece and nephew. I will play it because I enjoy it. It's great.
Yeah, I think I might recommend that to my brothers because they both like Minecraft as well, and I'm trying to get them to play different types of games. But they're very like set in their ways, and this might be a good bridge for that. Very cool. Very cool. Well, is that all? That is all. Yeah. Demon's Souls, Destiny 2, Minecraft Dungeons, and Cyberpunk. I didn't delete the ad read out of here. We're taking that ad read out.
You guys know who we are. Go and subscribe to our YouTube channels. Go to patreon.com/respawnameFire and play with us.
Exactly. Moving on to the quest log. We got quite a bit to talk about in the quest logs. We talked about the Game Awards coming up, but before all that, Halo Infinite got an update. It's officially being, as of right now, released in fall 2021. They had a kind of a long post, which is really just kind of developers talking about their experiences. One of the standouts for me was that they claimed that the criticisms of the visuals is something they were already talking to themselves about internally, which was it?
Yeah, was it?
I had doubts about that.
If that was the case, why would you come up with all of those excuses as to why it looks the way that it does?
Yeah, exactly. But they did have some screenshots that I thought actually looked really good, but those are screenshots, not game in motion. Big difference. So it's nice to see that they're updating us. I want to see regular stuff like this. Fall 2021. Do you buy it?
No. I read a couple of headlines who interpreted it as the quote as fall 2021 at the earliest. Like, it's going to be at least until then. And I think that's more realistic. Like, fall 2021 is a good... If they are changing enough about this game that they're talking about changing, as far as, like, literally... I think they were, like, literally, like, design pillars of the game. They're going back and reworking. Working on all sorts of different types of lighting systems. Like, in addition to balancing the multiplayer, making it free to play, how does that impact the way that it all works and functions together? The economy of the game, like that's a lot of things that they are trying to change before this comes out. And if they were struggling to get it out as is in their own kind of like, and they couldn't get it out in time as is. With all of those changes, I don't know if 2021's a set in stone thing. I would love for it to be, but I don't know if it is.
Yeah. I think a big part of this announcement was just saying, hey, we're coming into 2021 right now. And it's just them saying, this was not us saying we're delaying it by a few weeks or a few months. Like, this is going to be a big delay. I think they just needed to get that message out there, because nothing is worse than, well, they haven't given us a release date, and just every month it's like, are we going to hear something now? Is it going to be? So it's kind of like, there's almost a peace in that, even though you still have to wait a while. So good on them for just being upfront. It would have been great if another game did that as well, but I won't mention what that game is because, don't want to throw under the bus or anything.
Cyberpunk 2770?
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, I think good on them for doing this, and I hope this is a sign of kind of things to come for communication, because that's one thing they did say last week or the week before is they want to start being more transparent. They want to start being more open about this, and I think this is a good start.
Yeah. And what I like
to kind
about
of build
it,
off what you were saying. Go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry. What I like about it is that they are giving us updates, and they're no longer saying, well, the reason it looks like this is because of blank system. They're just saying, yeah, we get it. You don't like it. We don't like it either. We're changing it. Rather than making up excuses and going into like all of these really specific scenarios. Like, no, just fucking tell us you're changing it and move on. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. To kind of build off the point you were saying earlier too, with clearly there's more they had to fix than they were leading on before. I totally lost my train of thought. Oh, it took them this long to even say that.
Yeah.
This, and it's not a huge post, but like to even just say the little bit that they said this week. So I think they spent a lot of time figuring out, okay, what are these big changes we need to do? What are the things that are realistic? What's the priority? And if they're pushing it this long, I think they're basically saying the priority is just making a good Halo game, regardless of how long that takes. And that's nice to hear, because I think Halo needs it. Halo's a really, really important game in video game history. Like, it might not sell as well as the Marios and the Zeldas and all that kind of stuff, but it is on that level of significance in video game history. It's the face of Xbox. It's the game that really started console shooters being this online multiplayer experience. Like, Halo started that. Like, it would have been a real shame if 4 was good, 5 wasn't great, Infinite ruined Halo. Like, that just would have been a really terrible, like,
and you
like
can
downward
tell,
spiral.
Foreshadowing for later in the show on the Game Awards, like, you can tell when Master Chief is shown off at the Game Awards for Fortnite, people are still fucking losing their mind. Like, people love and are invested in this franchise. It's about time that they, like, brought it back in a good way.
Every Halo fan that I know basically thinks the last few games haven't been good, but they still have that heavy nostalgia. Yeah. Halo's not over. They can still win it back for sure. And that's a really positive note to end that story on. So let's move on to the Sony quest log.
Great.
Speaking of good things, PlayStation 5 breaks record for highest console launch month in the U.S. This comes from NPD. They didn't give a number out, so there's no like this specific number of units sold. But it was also the highest in consumer spending, which is interesting for the month of November, which basically means that people bought accessories, they bought a bunch of games. So that's kind of unsurprising. Switch still led in unit sales, but I wouldn't read into that too much because that was based on the supply of PS5s available. It would have sold more, and Switch is not going to be the number one selling console in the next few months, I think. Once there's better allocation of resources, Switch is not going to be number one per month anymore. But yeah, good for Sony.
This is totally...
it's selling so...
This is totally me half remembering something that I think I heard on a podcast.
Sources, trust me, bro.
They didn't give numbers for how it sold in the U.S. in this article, but I want to say it was Easy Allies looked up the numbers from the PS4, which they're comparing it to, and I want to say it was like 2.3 million or something like that. Like PS4,
yeah, that sounds about right to me.
Sold 2.3 million in its first month in the U.S., so this would have to do at least that.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely did. It's kind of funny too because like the number doesn't really matter because it's not indicative of the demand.
Yeah.
Because if they could have made more. So it's really more of a curiosity of how long it takes these things to consistently be in stock. I think that's going to be the real measure of the demand for this console, and I'm willing to bet it's going to be a long time. I wouldn't be surprised if well into 2021 we are still hearing about shortages and how it's hard to get one.
Yep.
On that note, the PS5 won't be back in stock with some major UK retailers until 2021, so they're not going to have anything for the Christmas season at all at this point. They're done.
Did you see?
That's incredible.
Did you see this? The store. I don't remember the name of the store in the UK, but they opened up orders for it, and they sold out really, really quickly, and it was like over 1,000 of them, and then they just canceled them all because they were able to trace back IP addresses or something like that and find out that most of them were scalpers. I was like, nope.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
Nobody gets these now.
Yeah, I'm glad to see there's a bigger initiative on the scalper front. Yeah. That's good to hear. But yeah, the crux of these stories is PlayStation 5 is selling well. Surprise. What is a surprise is that Sony has a rumored event that's going to be held in 2021. Early 2021. This, of course, in 2021. The whole year they're going to have an event at some point. No, this is according to Dusk Golem / Aesthetic Gamer. I guess he goes by both. But this is the guy who did all the Resident Evil Village leaks that turned out to be basically 100% on point. So I think it's a legitimate source. He said on Twitter, Sony has some event planned for the start of the year for January / February. I won't be surprised if Capcom either did something themselves in January or took part of that due to Sony marketing. Because right now, Resident Evil Village and Sony have kind of been very much linked.
Do we have a
Chad,
release window at least
buy
for Resident Evil Village?
I don't think there. I think it's. I don't know where I'm getting this from. This is just source. Trust me, bro. Yeah. Early 2021. I'm thinking like April. I think April was like the rumor, but I think I have a gut feeling about that at least. I can't remember what the source on that is. But in terms of this rumored event in January, February, 2 questions for you, Chad. Do you buy it? What's going to be there?
Ooh, do I buy it? January, February event. I do. I think it's 100% necessary because, as we talked about last week with all of our predictions that spoilers came out completely wrong, Sony has a lot coming out next year. And they obviously have to stagger those throughout the year. They have Horizon, they have Ratchet & Clank, they have God of War, they have... there's something
Horizon.
else in there. But so they have to stagger these releases, which means some of them got to be coming out very early, and we haven't seen a lot of most of them. So I think that it is a guarantee that we will see something at least in the first quarter, if not January, early February. And what will be there? Possibly all of those games. At least like a look at what Ragnarok's going to be. Maybe a release date or release window for Horizon. I think there was that leak that said it was the first 2 quarters of the year that Horizon's coming or something like that. So I think we're going to see all of those things. I don't think we're going to see anything new revealed from Sony because they have enough right now. Although we said that last time and we told Dallas, no, you're not going to see God of War. And then we saw God of War.
I'm still blown away by that. I still can't believe they released God of War or announced God of War. I agree. I don't think we're going to see necessarily anything new because I don't think they have to. They've kind of set themselves up well to have like, all right, here's a bigger tease at what God of War is, and then in that E3 time frame, we finally get the gameplay demo, and then, that's then their big fall release for the year. But as far as I know, there was some sort of trailer. Yeah, there's some sort of trailer from like PlayStation, I want to say a month or so ago, that showed some just general footage we've already seen before, but there's like an asterisk in the bottom of the screen that said Gran Turismo first half of 2021, and I think it's the same thing about Ratchet and Clank and
PlayStation
Horizon
trailer
as well.
in France or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep. And I was like, that's a weird thing to put at the bottom of a trailer, whatever it was.
Yeah. So I feel like if those games are all coming out in the first half of the year, they kind of have to do something. But then the kind of... I guess the confusion point for me is, then why did they announce the release date for Returnal now? Why wouldn't they have just waited until January, February event? Does that mean that Returnal is the first PlayStation game we're going to get of the year, and Ratchet and Clank, Gran Turismo, and Horizon are all after that? But then there were rumors of February for Ratchet and Clank. So like,
right.
I'm very interested to see, and what their timeline is going to be. And I think they kind of need to establish their 2021 timeline.
I want to say it was opening night live when they had the short little interview with the devs of Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and they hinted at Q1 of 2021 for the release date. Like, they wouldn't give a month or something like that, but they hinted at Q1, like it was going to be early, which means that would come if Returnal's coming, I think, March 18th? I assume Rift Apart would be coming that January, February timeline.
Yeah.
I don't know.
February would make sense. Yeah, we don't know. And Sony's been just a huge enigma this whole year. And I think they're kind of playing that Nintendo card of like, we're not going to tell you anything. We're going to be really excited when we finally do, because it works. So, yeah, I believe the January, February timeline for the event. But I think we're kind of up in the air about what we're going to see there. One thing, though, is they'll show Resident Evil Village. We really haven't actually seen that much of that game.
We saw that trailer with a lot of like quick looks at different environments and enemy types and things like that, but I'm ready for a deep dive, a little bit more of that. And they have a really good relationship. You know, obviously, Capcom, you know, with Resident Evil 7, the PSVR mode, exclusive to that for a year, and so yeah, it's not unlikely that we'll see Capcom at that event.
Yeah. Let's move on to the Nintendo Quest log here. The story. So Nintendo issued a cease and desist over the Etika Joy-Con shells that raised $10,000 for charity. So people who don't know, Etika was a Nintendo streamer. Last year, he was going through mental health issues, and he took his own life. And it's just a fucking horrible thing. So this other guy named Captain Alex decided that he was going to make Etikons, which are basically his design for a Joy-Con, and the proceeds of sales would go towards the Jet Foundation, which is a suicide prevention charity. So all good, heartwarming stuff. He raised $10,000, and then Nintendo said that he couldn't sell those Joy-Cons. He couldn't use the Joy-Con logo and phrase, and that he can't release these. But once he removes the trademarks, it seems like he'll be able to start distributing them through Indiegogo and Etsy like he's been doing. Here's like where I'm just calling foul and calling bullshit. Go to Amazon right now and type in Joy-Con shell, and you will see a multitude of options that all use the term Joy-Con in the name. Is it because they didn't use Joy-Con hyphen capital C-Con, like, and instead use just Joy-Con all one word with lowercase c? Like, is that the difference really? It just, this whole thing is fucking stupid. And I think Nintendo looks like huge assholes for this.
I'm going to play devil's advocate with you. It's for a good cause. It's not like this guy's selling them to make money and profit off of their trademarks. Mm-hmm. But the logo that he used on the shells is a straight ripoff of the Joy-Con logo. Like, it is that logo. And I understand it's for charity, but imagine the Apple logo. And Holden, you decided you were going to sell shirts with a giant Apple logo on it. And the Apple logo was, I don't know, it had underneath of it, I smell like poop. Or whatever it says. Whatever it says around the Apple logo, and you make money off of that. No matter where that money goes, like that is you're marketing that like an Apple product in the eyes of that company. Like, that logo represents something to us. And when customers see that logo, they represent that, and they see that, and they assume, oh, that's a Nintendo product. That means it has a certain quality threshold. That means I can get warranty information and repairs through Nintendo. And it is a ripoff of that logo. And I think the biggest hang-up I think Nintendo probably has is, say, like, dude, change up your logo that you have printed on the Joy-Cons themselves, and you'll be fine to sell the shells. And so this guy is like straight up using their logo, and he's like, oh, I'm using it for charity. Why don't they let me do it? They're assholes. It's like, dude, no, you took their intellectual property, and you're marketing off, and you're making money off of it. And while I appreciate what he's doing,
I'm looking at the picture right now, and I guess I don't see the exact resemblance to. I know you're playing devil's advocate, but I don't see the exact comparison, because I see your point. Like, if I had the straight up Apple logo and I said something like really like, horrible on that shirt, or even if I said something really nice and awesome, like I love Apple products, or all the proceeds of this shirt go towards child hunger or something like that, like, doesn't matter. I totally get that. The logo I'm seeing,
to clarify that
is,
metaphor just a second, let's make it not a shirt, and let's make it a piece of tech. A charger, or a phone, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. In this case, it basically shows something that kind of looks like left Joy-Con, right Joy-Con. You can kind of tell because it's like a silhouette, but then it has a huge space between it, and it says, I guess, actually I can't even really see what it says because the picture's too blurry, but like it looks different enough from the Nintendo logo that, because like the Nintendo like Joy-Con logo is them both side by side.
But they are,
and nothing in between.
It is the Joy-Cons, like the silhouetted version, one of them being slightly bigger, the other one being smaller to accommodate the weight of them as well. Like, it is the exact, like, he totally just took that, cut it in half, and separated it and put something to resemble the Switch in between with words.
Yeah. So that's point one. I think that it looks different enough, but I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know like what they could get away with in terms of copyright, that kind of stuff. But the other thing they say is the Joy-Con phrase. And that's what I was kind of getting at with, like, is Joy apostrophe uppercase C con and then just Joy-Con all one word with lowercase c enough of a difference? Because if you go to Amazon and look it up, they all just say Joy-Con all one word lowercase c, no hyphen. But everyone knows what they're talking about, and they all say shell like attached to it. So it's not even just the logo that they're upset about, it is the phrasing. Now in the now it's not loading. So here's the thing. All right, I want to actually, can I send this to you? Yeah, I can. You can put this on stream, right?
Is it a picture?
I'm going to send you a link. Do you want just the picture? I can just send you just the picture.
Send me just the picture, yeah. Because if it's a link, I haven't figured out how to put that in there yet. But I can drag and drop a picture.
No worries. So here's the trademark that Nintendo is discussing. So just sent that to you. It also shows the Pokemon logo too, but that's besides the point. And then in this picture, if you zoom in, you can see the logo on one of the Joy-Cons. On the white ones, you can see it. And it's different enough because it has a huge space and then another logo between either of the silhouetted Joy-Cons. You can even also see, too, how, like, the circle's in a different location. Like, he changed it up. He wasn't just copying and using the same exact logo.
I can't figure it. It's not dragging and dropping like it usually does. But people just go Google it or Twitter it. It's Joy-Con Boys. At the top of that DualShockers article that you linked to, it shows a much more clear image of the logo on there. If you click on that and expand the image.
Oh, perfect. I did not see that before. Yeah. But yeah, you can see it says Joy-Con Boys, and there's the huge separation.
But I get it, man.
I don't know. Like, I feel like...
And I do recognize that, yes.
You're right, there's a gray area.
Yeah.
This is a gray area for sure, yeah.
There are a ton of other products out there that are... Amazon is huge for counterfeit shit all the time, especially coming from China and all that kind of stuff. Like, it is a problem out there. And this is just one of those battles that I guess they chose to pick because I don't know why, but I get it, man. Just like none of those are actually using the Joy-Con image on their Joy-Con, like the actual logo itself, the Nintendo Switch logo, and that's the only difference I can see with this one is that one has the actual logo, whereas all the rest of them are just like clear shells or purple shells or things like that, and they're just kind of generic. Yeah, that's probably what I think they have a problem with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's a gray area for sure. I think it just looks really bad on Nintendo for them to take this example, especially like this coming off on the wake of the whole Smash Bros. Melee emulator thing, which I actually am on Nintendo's side on that one because it's a tournament for a game running an emulated version of the game with all these changes, and like Nintendo's very particular about that kind of stuff. Like they honestly should have seen that one coming. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing.
Tis a tis.
Speaking of weird thing, let's talk about the Game Awards.
Woo! I think by weird thing you mean awesome thing.
Yeah. I mean, it was no Cyberpunk 2077, but you know. Yeah, so I guess we don't have to go through every single award. Actually, we do have our predictions, so we do have to go through every single award. So let me open up. Can you actually open up the awards themselves, who won, and then I'll pull up our predictions, and we'll work together to go through that.
Yep. Nominees. The Game Awards. Brought to you by Mattel.
We are going to start with the Content Creator Award.
Yeah, Content Creator went to Valkyrie.
We both predicted Alana Pierce. I don't think either of us had even heard of Valkyrie before.
No, in fact, I didn't even know how to say her name, but now I do.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying she
But
sounds like a
that's
Valley girl. I just like saying it like that. Valkyrie. What's up? I'm Valkyrie.
Here, let me actually get a tally going. 1 second.
Multiplayer game, Among Us won, which I don't know if either of us picked that.
So I picked Among Us, and then you picked Fall Guys.
Ooh, Fall Guys, I thought. Turns out no. Best sports / racing game. I know that we both got this one. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2.
We both did get that one, yeah.
We both got Best Sim and
And
Strategy
then-
as Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yep. Family Game. I didn't see Family Game, actually. What won Family Game?
Best family game was something that actually was on the stream before you jumped on. It was Animal Crossing New Horizons.
Okay. Yeah, it's not terribly surprising.
Did we both get that?
After that, yeah, we both got that one, yeah. We had a difference in fighting, though. I predicted One Punch Man because I asked Siri, I think.
Yeah, best
And then
fighting
you
game went
predicted
to
Mortal
Mortal
Kombat.
Kombat 11 Ultimate.
Boom.
Boom, boom,
What was the
boom,
best
boom.
RPG, Chad?
Best RPG was Final Fantasy VII Remake won that one.
Boom.
That's for
I
you,
predicted
right?
Final Fantasy VII Remake, and you threw the dice on Genshin Impact.
Lost. But best
Hey, there's a lot of
action
buzz around that
adventure
game,
game went to Last of Us Part 2.
Brent was so upset.
He was. I just don't
It's
get
not
your
an
argument,
adventure
Brent.
game.
Brent just doesn't want it to win because he
Best-
knows it's good. And then he's like, other things need to get recognized too. It's like, yeah, but they don't need to get recognized as the best thing because it wasn't the best thing.
We both predicted Hades for best action game. Did Hades
Hades
win
won.
best action game? Boom. Boom, boom, boom.
Accessibility, I think we both guessed correctly with Last of Us Part 2 as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Last of Us Part 2, we both guessed.
We both
We also
got
both
VR,
guessed
AR.
Half-Life Alyx.
Yep. Best community
Which
support.
was that-
I think we both lost this one because it went to Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout.
Yeah, I predicted Fortnite. You predicted Destiny 2.
Yep. Best mobile game went to Among Us.
So I predicted Among Us. You predicted Genshin Impact.
Did Genshin Impact get anything? I don't think it did.
No, I don't think it
Surprising.
did either.
Best indie game went to Hades.
No surprise there at all. We
No.
both got that point. That's for sure.
Best ongoing game went
and-
to No Man's Sky. That was a win for you.
Yeah, which I'm so glad because I think that team really deserves that award. They've worked really hard to maintain that support. Let me update 1 second. So then the next one we had was
Games for Impact.
Games for Impact.
I
I
won
said
this one
Kentucky
with Tell Me
Route Zero
Why.
TV edition, and you said Tell Me Why. So boom, we didn't get best performance. though.
No.
I was really surprised by this.
I mean, I'm still very, very happy that Laura Bailey won as Abby, but I was surprised Ashley Johnson didn't take it.
Yeah. And I'm also surprised the internet didn't explode with anger and vitriol towards her when she won.
Yeah, I guess, maybe I just don't follow those types of people, but I didn't see any negative press about it or negative stuff about it.
Yeah, I didn't see anything either.
Best audio design
Best audio-
rightly went to Last of Us Part 2.
We both got that one because it was pretty obvious. That glass was the shit.
Yeah, that's right. Just breaking a pane of glass in that game was just like, oh my god, it sounds amazing. Best score in music went to Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh, we got that one.
Yeah. And then best art direction went to Ghost of Tsushima. I was surprised at that one.
Yeah, I predicted Ori and the Will of the Wisp, and you predicted Hades, so neither of us got that one.
Best narrative, Last of Us Part 2. Fuck yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then best game direction went to Last of Us Part 2 as well. Did we both get that one?
Yeah, I'm looking at this so I know that the last three we predicted Last of Us Part 2 for Game of the Year, Game Direction, and Narrative.
Thank God. Yeah, Game of the Year obviously went to Last of Us Part 2. Thank America Ferrera's left bracelet. Because if that game did not win and Hades won, I would have quit video games for life.
It's funny, like, how Brent feels about Last of Us winning, I think is exactly how we both would have felt if Hades had won. Yes. We had never played it, but would have been like, fuck you, Hades. Yep. How could you have won that?
Yep.
I do want to play Hades at some point because I hear it's really good. We both did really well, actually, because you can't get 100%. That'd be like impossible.
If you get 100%, it's rigged.
But out of the 23 we predicted on, I got 16. You got 15 correct predictions. We both did really well.
What? Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We got 0 on our other predictions, though.
Let's take our wins. Let's take our wins where we get them.
Yep.
Yeah, so we also predicted games that were going to be announced.
How could we have?
I just made a chart.
How could we predict that 10 games that have not been seen in a while and not a single one of them was shown with all of those trailers? Because there was a ton of shit there.
And these are things that I feel like were, quite frankly, safe bets.
Yeah.
I don't think any of these were crazy. So just to list off the ones we predicted, it doesn't even matter who predicted what. I'm just going to list the 10 games at this point because none of them were correct. Metroid Prime 4, Elden Ring, for Horizon Forbidden West, Breath of the Wild 2, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, Kojima's next project, whatever that was going to be, Rainbow Six Quarantine with a new name, which I still think you're right about that. I definitely think there's going to be a new name for that game. Ghostwire Tokyo, Hollow Knight Silksong, and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. None of those would have been crazy things to see.
Nope.
None of them. Not one.
Even in a
None of them
reel.
happened. Yeah, not even in a sizzle reel.
It's crazy.
They talked about Returnal. Before they talked about Ratchet.
Although
Clank
Returnal looks
Rift
dope as
Apart.
fuck, though.
It really does, yeah. But let's get to what was actually announced. There was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Starting
before we get to the announcements, I just want to say, as a whole,
yeah.
I really enjoyed the event because it felt like an E3 or a conference or something like that, and we saw all of these amazing new trailers and surprises and things like that. As an award ceremony, though, I think it struggles with the same thing that the Oscars and the Emmys do, where like there's so many worthwhile awards that get given either in a like, let's give out 5 awards in 10 seconds right now. Cool. Let's talk about the next cool game coming out next year. So like they got overshadowed. The music, like things that were up for best score and things like that weren't even like they played a lot of music throughout this thing, but none of them were the nominees for things that were best music. Like I think it needs some work as an award show, but as a show that showed a lot of cool shit, it was an excellent event.
Yeah, there was a lot of really great stuff there. There's so much stuff. We're not going to talk about all of the things that were announced. I have a pretty big list here still, though, of things that I think are worth mentioning. Yeah. Starting off with Sephiroth in Smash Bros., which we're both not Smash Bros. People, but we both can recognize this was a really big announcement.
Yeah, and that was a huge surprise. I would have never guessed.
Yeah.
I figured it took an arm and a leg to get Cloud back in this one, let alone another Final Fantasy character in it. It's amazing.
I was just surprised it wasn't Trevor from GTA 5 because that seems so likely.
Shut up.
Probably one of the biggest surprises was the cinematic trailer for Perfect Dark.
Yes,
coming back.
We finally
is it a sequel
know what
remake?
the
I don't know, but
initiative
it's coming
is.
back.
We finally know what the initiative is working on, and it's Perfect Dark, this quadruple A Microsoft exclusive studio. From what I was reading. This is set like the entire Earth is like completely destroyed due to climate change or something like that. So I assume this is in the future. If not a sequel, then like a complete reboot in a different time period. But
they just labeled it perfect dark. No subtitles, no anything. So it could be one of those like soft reboots as well, where like it's not really a reboot, but it's not really a sequel. It's that kind of quasi thing. It could be that too, but we don't really know. We just know now officially that's what they're working on. So that's cool. And I think Microsoft needed a big thing like this to look forward to on Series X. Or unless it's coming to Xbox One as well, who knows?
Well, we didn't get any kind of indication of release date, so it could be outside of that couple of years where things are going to be cross-gen.
I have a feeling it's going to land there. That's kind of where my gut is telling me. Because we got so little information. We'll see. To put it this way, Cyberpunk 2077 had a similar-ish cinematic trailer back in 2013. So who knows? This could be 7 years away. It is a quadruple A game after all. Another big surprise was Back 4 Blood.
Yep. The same guys who made Left 4 Dead, but obviously without the license for Left 4 Dead because that still sits with Valve. But it looks like very much a spiritual successor to that. It looks like a ton of fun.
Yeah. The Callisto Protocol, which I had to do a double take when I saw this headline. First of all, that game looks really cool. It seems like it's very much like a Dead Space kind of horror game.
Right, it's from the creator of Dead Space.
Yeah, but it's set in the PUBG universe.
Yeah.
What?
It's so weird. But yeah, the game studio was formed under PUBG Corp to make more games in the PUBG universe. However, we know that this takes place sometime in the century 2300, whereas PUBG is more current day. And I have no idea how they connect. But
this is like saying, yeah, GTA 5, Cyberpunk 2077, same cinematic universe, just like decades apart from each other.
And maybe they loosely connect, like Cloverfield and like all of those movies. But
oh yeah,
either
that's
way,
a better comparison.
It looked really good. And then after I found out it was from the Dead Space guys, I was like, "Oh my god, sign me up!" That was maybe one of my favorite things of the night.
Next gen game. Yeah, I agree. Definitely one of my favorite things of the night. Very much looking forward to it. It's next gen, so I think one of the big things with next gen games is going to be lighting and ray tracing and that kind of stuff. And I think you do a lot of great things with lighting and horror. So I'm very curious to see what this is going to look like. It's going to be great. You were excited about the next one, Open Roads.
I was so excited that I don't even remember what it is now.
The guys who made Gone Home, it's their next game. It was the girl and the mom in the car driving down the road.
Yes, Fulbright. Yes. I'm excited solely based on the art style, which looks really cool, and the fact that their tenure with Gone Home. And what was the other one where you're on the space station? What was the name of that one? It had a really cool AI twist to it as well. Tacoma, that's it. Yeah, very into that.
Dragon Age 4 had a trailer shown off. I think it was a cinematic trailer, though. Pretty certain it's cinematic.
Yeah, I tend to tune Dragon Age stuff out, so I'm sure it was dope.
Yeah,
but I think I blacked out.
It's one of those franchises that I want to give a chance, but no, I probably never will. For a reason we will talk about later on. Crimson Desert is the next one.
What a freaking ride this trailer was. First of all, it was forever long.
Yeah. It was so long.
But it just kept evolving and showing more and more. And at first it started out like, oh, this kind of looks like an Assassin's Creed type game. And then it's like, but also these beautiful vistas. It started with the vistas. That's what it was. And then it's like, oh, there's a dragon in it. Oh, there's also dope magic. Oh, there's also your Shadow Colossus type stuff. And it just kept expanding to be all the coolest shit you've ever seen in video games, all somehow shoved into one enormous cinematic trailer. And I have no idea how it's actually going to play or what it is, but I want it right in my veins. I want to be a heroin addict, and I want this in a syringe.
Apparently, it's coming out next year, which I don't know if that's going to happen or not, because the trailer looked even a little framey itself and looked like it had a lot to work on. But whenever it comes out, I'm looking forward to that because it does look really it looks like a very large, robust experience, which is cool. Season for PS5, which I guess is an indie game. It's releasing exclusively on PS5. One of those walking games, but this is not first person.
Yeah, I remember.
It's a third person walking game.
I remember it being.
It looks beautiful.
I don't remember who made it. I don't think it's that game company who made Flower and Journey, But I remember watching this trailer and being like, man, I'm going to play that the same way that I played Flower, where it's just like, I just need to zen out for a minute and just like go through some beautiful landscapes and shit. And like, that's exactly what this is going to be for me.
Mm-hmm. Arc 2 featuring Vin Diesel's belly button.
Vin Diesel's ugly ass belly button, as Matt called out while we were watching it. What a surprise. First of all, what a surprise that Vin Diesel was featured in something so heavily that wasn't Fast and Furious related. But for us to then watch that, again, really long trailer, and then for it to be Arc, like, that... I think it's free to play. Is it free? I don't know. I don't understand most. That's in that League of Legends type area of gaming that I just like. A lot of people play that, but I don't understand it or know what it is.
Yeah, and it's big. It's a big game.
It's huge. Yeah,
lots of people play it.
Brent's mom plays it. I think. I think that's my only touch point.
Going like. I watched the trailer going, wow, this looks really interesting. I'm really interested in this. And then just like you, I'm like, oh, it's in that sphere of gaming that they don't know about. I don't care anymore.
Right.
The next one, which we've already kind of talked about, was Returnal, which is coming March 19th, 2021.
And that's going to be exclusive for 2 years, the contract says. It's going to be PlayStation exclusive for 2 years. It's a good get because that game looks good.
Dope. It looks really good, yeah. Speaking of really good, Among Us's new map, the airship, looks like the same kind of fun you're used to having already, but in a new location.
On an airship.
And I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
Speaking of which, do you want to make that our game night this week?
What's getting an update this? Something's getting an update this week, right?
I don't know. Let's talk
next week is Call of Duty. Call of Duty.
COD Warzone?
Yeah, isn't the Warzone coming out next week?
Oh, yeah. That's right. The new Warzone map. Okay, fuck it. We're playing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Master Chief Cross Fortnite is happening. Really just means Master Chief is a character you can play as in Fortnite now.
You can get a Master Chief skin. There's an adorable little warthog. We can now have Kratos and Master Chief fighting side by side, or we know the answer to who would win if they both shot guns at each other. Dope. What a game. That Fortnite is basically becoming the pop culture Smash Bros. Where it's just like, fucking everything's in it. If you're cool, you're in this game. That's dope. Including
run
Travis
out
Scott.
of culture at some point because they're adding all the stuff so fast. It feels like there's always new things coming. And the next announcement was the last one.
And
that was
trailer.
Mass Effect teaser. Definitely a teaser. That was a heavy teaser.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the cool thing: Michael Gamble, who is the kind of new head of the Mass Effect franchise, now that what's his name? Casey
Hudson?
Well, I can't remember his last name. Hudson, yeah, Casey Hudson. Now that he's left, Michael Gamble's taking over the reins of that franchise, and he kind of responded to some people on Twitter and confirmed a few things that were interesting. I saw this trailer first, and it said Mass Effect will continue. I'm like, yeah, but in what form? Are we talking like a mobile game? Like, what's happening here? But based on things he was saying, I'm like, oh no, this is for real. This is happening. There are Reapers in the trailer. So someone pointed out there was a Reaper, and he confirmed it was a Reaper. There are alludes to Mass Effect Andromeda even. There was some, I guess the phrase Godspeed was heard or something like that in the trailer, and he said that was done intentionally. And then someone also pointed out there were 2 galaxies being shown in the trailer, and Michael Gamble said, yes, that was, quote, for a reason, smiley face. So that is really cool. I'm actually surprised that they're seem to be just embracing Andromeda despite everything.
Yeah.
It actually kind of makes me want to go back and play Andromeda now that thing's been patched out. But yeah, that was really exciting. It's going to be a long time before we see that game, but it's nice knowing it's coming.
Yeah. Dallas says he's still so hard from that trailer, and I agree. I've watched that trailer like 7 times now, and I get goosebumps every freaking time. Seeing, fucking, what's her name? The Shadow Broker, Liara. Seeing Liara at the end of it, and like dusting off the N7 armor from, oh my god, it's so good. It's so good. I can't freaking wait. It makes me, I was like, the Mass Effect trilogy that's coming out soon, I was like, you know what? I played those games. I platinumed number 2. I played through them. I had my Shepard and it was like, if Holden wants to play him for Barf, yeah, sure, I'll play through him for Barf. But now I'm like, let's play all of them right now before the next one comes out because I have to know.
So glad you said that. Okay, so here's my pitch. Here's my pitch for this, okay?
Okay.
with BioShock, we kind of did like once a year we would play a BioShock game.
Mm-hmm.
I propose next year we do Mass Effect 1, 2022 we do Mass Effect 2, 2023 we do Mass Effect 3, and it's going to be a few years before the next game comes out, so we'll be like leading up to the next game.
I don't know if I can wait that long between things. Especially knowing that like my story continue, like, because BioShock 1, 2, and 3, it's like their own contained things, even though BioShock Infinite just takes all of that and says, ha ha, fuck that, it's amazing. But these are like my Shepard and my choices, and it's like the cliffhanger at the end of a season finale of a show, and it's like, I don't want to wait till next year for the next season to start. I don't know.
That's just made it exciting.
I don't want to binge all three at once for sure, because I think I put like 60 hours into Mass Effect 2. But I think we should space them out a little bit.
2-month games for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe like every 6 months or something like that, because I feel you. I get what you're saying there. Because they're really good games. And also, I haven't played the third one, so I'm going to have this kind of pull to be like, all right, cool, I want to get to the one I haven't played yet now.
But then the question, how can you love that franchise so much and not have played the finale to it? Oh my gosh.
It's complicated, but it basically involves me not being allowed to take my Xbox 360 to Texas when I moved to Texas.
Oh, because Texas doesn't allow Microsoft.
Something like that. So that's the main reason I never played it. So I'm really, really pumped for Legendary Edition, so I can finally play that game. I bought all 3 games on my Xbox when I first got my Xbox, and then I was kind of like, no, hold off, because there's going to be some sort of trilogy collection, and I'll be really disappointed if I play them all before that comes out. So I'm glad. But here's the question: is do we incorporate Mass Effect Andromeda into that?
I want to play Andromeda.
Perfect. Should we play it first and get it out of the way, or should we do the other ones like first and then get to Andromeda after? Do it in the order in which they were released.
It doesn't have anything to do with the save files or story-wise or anything like that. Like, this new game will link them together. It doesn't matter that we play that fourth or first, right? I don't know. Let's think.
No, there's no link as far as I'm concerned. Other than it being Mass Effect, of course.
Right.
So yeah. All in all, it was a good Game Awards. I will say I went into it too high expectations. I was kind of going into this with like, oh my gosh, this is the first next gen like Game Awards. What are we going to see now? Developers can talk, and I think I kind of overhyped myself on that. But there were still a lot of really great announcements. It was a fun night for sure.
I kind of went into it the opposite. I was thinking like, well, this is the first Game Awards with COVID. I shouldn't have been thinking that way, because opening night live was pretty good, and we've had lots of good digital events recently. But I was thinking like, well, we'll see how he can duct tape this together with COVID stuff going on. So, but no, it turned out to be great. And everyone, it was really weird. I can never remember her name from IGN, the girl with the boobs. So you can't stop staring at the boobs because that's all she shows is her boobs. It was only her.
I'm glad you're at least not making fun of her ears now.
I honestly don't even remember what I said about her ears the very first time it was 2 years ago or last year's Game Awards. I don't remember.
Yeah. Sydney Goodman, I think is her name.
Sure. It was her and Jeff Keighley all the time in whatever that studio was. And no one else except for randomly Nolan North for 10 seconds. I was like, why the hell was everyone else video calling in but Nolan North was there?
Very strange. So that's a perfect segue into the next part of this I wanted to discuss. I saw this op-ed, and we usually don't talk about other people's op-eds in Respawning Fire, but I thought this actually brought up a really good point, something that's worth discussing. This kind of, I think, a fair point on all sides of this. The game, this is from Murdad Kayat from DualShockers. He says, the awards having celebrity presenters hurts the video game industry in the long run. Just to break down his whole article into one sentence, he's basically saying that by having celebrities from different industries, it's taking away potential voices for people within our own industry from being up there instead. He's basically referencing like Christopher Nolan being there. Who's the protagonist? Washington's his last name, but what's his first name? I can't remember.
John David.
Okay. And then there was Gal Gadot, Brie Larson, and Tom Holland were kind of there. I understand Brie Larson and Tom Holland because obviously Tom Holland's going to be Nathan Drake. That makes sense. And then Brie Larson's kind of been big with Animal Crossing and kind of being public about that. So I kind of get her. But the other three, I was kind of like, it's not that I'm upset that they're there, but it's kind of like, why?
Yeah.
Because if they weren't even really marketing their stuff, there was a brief mention of Tenet, but nothing like amazing. And it was kind of like, why are they there? So I thought that Murdad made a good point. What do you think?
I think it is very, very much like the discussion that was brought up after Cyberpunk got revealed that Keanu Reeves was in it. And there was, I think, something on Kotaku or something like that. It was like, should we be taking video game actors and performer roles away from them and replacing them with Hollywood ones? Like, is that taking away from our industry and what we can do and the talent that we have available to us? And I think where I settled is that, like, it's not good either way you do it. Because, yes, we have a lot of really talented people that could probably do better jobs at it than the celebrities could. But also, we live in a society where people only care about things if celebrities are involved with them, or if celebrities have them.
Yeah.
If you think about COVID, a lot of people didn't give a fuck about COVID, and then they see, Tom Hanks has COVID? Oh my God, I need to follow this. This is real now. Or, oh my God, whatever politician or whatever person that I follow on Instagram has COVID, suddenly now it's real to me, and I'm invested in it. And the same thing goes with all of these things. And so it's a way to bring in an audience that might not necessarily be associated with gaming, and it's a way to expose them to it. So I get kind of like pimping that out on Twitter like he was, saying all of these people are going to be here. Who knows what they're going to show? And I don't have an answer for it because I think it's necessary to expand it and bring a little bit of credibility to it. But then also, they're right. Like, there are people doing amazing work that we could feature instead. But then that wouldn't grow our medium the way that we want to kind of expand with. I don't know.
Yeah. I 100% agree with the Keanu Reeves part. I think it's a really good point. Like, I'm enjoying Keanu Reeves in this game, but other people could have, within the game industry, could have done that role. Someone who's not Troy Baker or Nolan North, like someone maybe we haven't heard of before. And yeah, I think that's a really good point. But then again, having Keanu Reeves is going to make people go, ooh, I don't really play video games a lot, but I like Keanu Reeves a lot. Maybe I do want to play that Cyberpunk game. I think that works. I think that's a great point. This, however, is an award show. It's about celebrating our industry.
Yeah.
I don't know if necessarily someone would be like, I didn't play video games before, but Christopher Nolan announced the Game of the Year award at the Game Awards. And now I watched that, and now I want to play Last of Us Part 2. I don't know if there's that direct of a link, whereas there is, I think, that link with Keanu in Cyberpunk. So yeah, I totally see how like it broadens the industry. In this context of award shows, I think it's kind of something a little more sacred. Like, you don't bring on Yo-Yo Ma to announce Best Director at the Oscars.
Yeah, exactly. You don't bring on, Neil Druckmann watches movies, so he's going to go present the Emmy for Best TV Show, whatever. It's like, no, that's not the same.
Yeah.
Although he might be presenting an Emmy after Last of Us comes out, but
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. It is weird for an award show.
Yeah. But I think one thing that is clear is that we're going to start seeing that blending happening as video games becomes a much more popular entertainment medium, especially entertainment medium for storytelling. I think we're going to see a lot more blending. I wouldn't be surprised if there are points where a movie director decides he wants to make a game because there's things you can only do in a game. And I think we're going to see that kind of bleeding. And that stuff is really positive for the industry. But depending on how that goes, like film directing and game directing are obviously different beasts completely.
Right. And performance capture is becoming such an expressive medium and a legitimate form of acting that it already is blending the lines between what it and TV and movie. Like, what's the difference between Andy Serkis playing Gollum and Troy Baker playing whatever Troy Baker plays in every single game ever? It's very much kind of the same in blending those lines. And you even see in the last 5 or 6 years the big transition from TV. Like, TV used to be the thing oh no, I'm a serious actor, I don't do TV.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, oh no, that's where all the good shit is. It's on HBO, it's on Netflix, it's on Amazon, Hulu. That's where all the best stuff is happening. So you see all of these high profile actors now suddenly doing a lot more television. And I think as we start to recognize gaming as having a lot more high profile and really great storytelling, and performance capture being something that Hollywood actors feel comfortable doing because the sound stages are getting more dynamic and detailed and you're in the same room with people still. I think it's going to go a long way in kind of bridging that gap. And I think we're not going to have, right now, you don't look at Nicole Kidman and say, oh, she's a movie actor. You say she's an actress. She's in movies, she's in TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think one day you're not going to look at someone on the level of Nolan North. I think North might be aged out of it by then, but you're going to look at someone on their level and you're not going to say, oh, that's a video game actor. They're like, no, that's an actor. They do movies, they do video games, they do.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we're going to be having this discussion because I don't think we're going to have a delineation between celebrity and video game person. I think we're going to have, they're just all actors. They're just all directors. They're all.
That's a good point too. Yeah. And that'll be an evolution over time. But yeah, I think you're right. Like, oh, we need someone for this role. Like I think there's actually something like a unique challenge for an actor coming into a video game versus a TV show. In the TV show, you have, this is the way it's written, this is the way it's happening. Where the video game, it could be, hey, give us 5 different versions of how this character could respond to this situation. And that might be a challenge that Meryl Streep wants to do.
Yeah.
Like, she wants to stretch those acting chops in a different way than she could in film. Like, there's a lot of potential there. And actually, that kind of ties into one of our Fetch Quest stories, which, just to segue into that, because I think this is actually a good segue. This is not the first topic we were going to discuss here, but I think it works. Take-Two CEO says games are 10 years from photorealism. And kind of in that, he also said that there are going to be huge changes in the next, 10, 20, 30, 40 years in gaming. And this, our kind of discussion about actors, I think kind of ties into that.
Yeah.
Before we move on to that, though, anything else you want to say about Game Awards and merging?
Nope.
Okay. So Take-Two CEO says games are 10 years from photorealism, which means basically by the end of the decade, we'll apparently be at photorealism.
I think it's going to be sooner.
Can I say that? Yeah. Here's like the thing that kind of, because I've been thinking about this, and I think I've been someone who's been like, ooh, photorealistic games. That's a cool thing to strive for. But then I was kind of like, when I saw this as a headline, for some reason, something clicked in my head, which is, okay, a still image might look photorealistic, but there's still the art and craft of animations working properly. Like for example, Last of Us Part 2 had really incredible facial animations, but that wasn't just because PS4 can handle that number of calculations. It's because an artist knew how to make it look really good. So like a still image might look photorealistic, but I don't know if there's how much uncanniness is going to be there. I don't know. I'm very curious to see that.
Yeah, I think photorealism is not a complete goal because you're, like you mentioned, if you have photorealistic textures and things like that, you're still going to have weird AI that, oh, let me lead you to this thing. Walking into the side of a rock as I talk to you with my head turned weird. Like, you're still going to have weird AI. You're going to have the agency of the player and how they choose to control it. So I don't think photorealism means I'm not going to be able to tell the difference between this and real life in all circumstances. But yeah, if you take a cool screenshot, people are going to be like, oh my God, what movie is that from? I'm like, no, that's from The Last of Us Part 3.
Yeah. In some games, it's kind of already happening. Like, where was it? Some news outlet published a screenshot from Red Dead Redemption 2 as a real landscape shot. I can't remember like the exact details of the story, but like we're kind of getting there in some aspects. Like, God, I mean, in like Demon Souls, you look at some of the rocks in that game and you're like, that rock looks 100% real. It just looks real.
I like that boulder.
That's a nice boulder. But yeah, that's going to be exciting to see. But then the other part of that too is, what are the games that are kind of more cartoony, right? Looking like, what about like, all right, for example, like I was watching the trailer for Soul, Pixar's new movie, and I'm like, this looks fucking incredibly good. But it's not photorealistic, but it still has like super realistic lighting, super realistic textures and things like that. But it's still obviously cartoony. And I'm like, I really want to see like that kind of stuff in games. Yeah. It's exciting. It's cool stuff. I just like thinking about that kind of future stuff. Speaking of the future, we will be playing Prince of Persia: Sands of Time farther in the future than we originally had thought. It was going to release in January. Now it's coming out March 18th, 2021. Delays are good, everyone.
Yep.
Delays are good. That is one thing I wanted to mention with Cyberpunk I forgot to say. If people weren't so shitty about delays, maybe we wouldn't have gotten a Rush Cyberpunk. People get really shitty about games getting delayed. What do you want, guys? Do you want a good game, or do you want a game right now?
You know, though,
and
I feel like people were making fun of Cyberpunk for being delayed a lot more than people. Again, this could just be the audience that I follow on Twitter, and it's an echo chamber. But people were more like, oh God, here we go. Another Cyberpunk delay. More so than like, I can't fucking believe it's delayed again. I was supposed to be playing this game right now. Like, I even know, like, Jerica, for instance, she's like, I took a whole week off of work when I heard the release date, and then they moved it. I'm like, well, that's okay. I mean, the game's delayed, but I can still play PlayStation. And so, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if people were as shitty, more as in just like, we get it. It's a joke. We've delayed it 17 times.
What's also coming out in spring is Xbox Game Pass on iOS. We kind of already knew it was going to be a web version of it, and that's still the same situation, but now we kind of know a time frame for that, so that's exciting. But what you can get right now is Spider-Man Miles Morales' ray tracing with 60 frames per second, which I think is a great blend of both worlds.
You no longer have to choose. They're just sacrificing a few, like they said, the reflections won't be quite as detailed that you see in like windows and puddles and things like that, but they'll still have ray tracing elements of it. So that's cool that they offer that best of both worlds, Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana version of it. And that's Miles Morales as well as Spider-Man Remastered.
Yeah. That's a game you can get right now. And then a game in the past, Control, 2 million people bought that game.
That sounds like not enough.
That's great. Good for them.
That's not like that game deserves so much more. If you're one of those idiots sitting at home, drinking nothing but Mountain Dew, eating Doritos, and laughing at South Park, that has been me a lot, by the way. But if you're one of those idiots who has done all of that, but you have not bought and played Control, which I think is like 90% of our audience, you need to look yourself in the face and you need to say, I need to be better. I need to put down this trashy, buggy Cyberpunk, and I need to put up this buggy Control and play that instead.
Is that geared towards me? Because I bought it, but I've not finished Control.
You. Matt he's like, oh yeah, what do you think about this guy? I feel like every other week somebody asks me, did you play Control? And it's like, yes, it was Game of the Year last year. Play it. And I feel like that's every single person in my life. Like, yeah, I've been wanting to play it, but I didn't. Like, just fucking do it. Just fucking do it.
Well, Chad, do you know what smart, not idiotic people do?
What do they do?
Game on Game Show. Take us to it, Chad.
The Game on a Gaming Show, we play a game called Game On, the Gaming Show on a Game Show. Game. Holden, we have a brand new game this time. Something you've never played before. It is called Christ Reborn. Christ Reborn, the video game Easter egg game.
That's amazing. Okay, I have to do tangent for a second. Another great mission in Cyberpunk has to deal with the Passion of the Christ, and it's fucking hysterical and really weird. And anyway, I just had to say
I hope they gave Mel Gibson's role to an actual video game person instead of Mel Gibson.
And they gave it to someone. I'll say that. It's an interesting character.
So this is a game about Easter eggs and recognizing Easter eggs in games. Hence Christ Reborn, Easter. So I have here 5 games, and Easter eggs in gaming usually can be anything from like just a wink and a nod to something cool, or just like a secret, or maybe even a reference to another property or something like that. So these are 5 Easter eggs that I found. And I'm going to read them to you. I'm going to read what they are to you. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about how I want to describe this as I'm talking, and it's weird. I'm going to read the name of the game, and I'm going to read the Easter egg. And I want you to tell me just like, is that a real one, or is that something I made up? And I'm not going to tell you how many of each there are, and I'm not going to tell you if you're right or not until we get to the very end, and I'll tell you which ones are right and which ones are wrong.
Can I? I'm sorry. I'm too many tangents.
Yes.
Cyberpunk is still in my head, but can I tell you 2 awesome Easter eggs that were in Cyberpunk that aren't spoilers for anything?
You can tell me one now, and you can tell me one right before we begin the game.
So I can say both right now.
Yes.
So you're in a bar,
Okay.
and Kojima is there. Hideo Kojima is hanging out in the bar.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, that's really
old.
cool. And I do this, and then I do this other mission where you're going into this like facility. There's this big machine, this big contraption, and what's in the center of the contraption? But one of the babies from Death Stranding, and it's like tube thing, like spinning around. And it like fit perfectly in the aesthetic of Cyberpunk. It was actually kind of cool.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a good Easter egg.
So here we go. I'm going to go through these 5. I'll describe them, maybe what they are, maybe how to get them. And then you tell me whether it's real or something I made up. starting with... Actually, you know what? We're going to go from bottom to top. Here we go. X-Men Origins Wolverine is the game. In one of the levels in this game, if you take a hidden path in one of the game's jungle levels, you'll eventually come across a mysterious hatch from the TV show Lost. Nothing happens, there's no interaction with it, but it exists.
Jeez. These are tough because, like, an Easter egg can be anything.
It can be anything.
It can be anything. I'm going to say yes.
You say that's real? Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, I won't tell you until after we get through all 5.
Yeah.
The next game is Sonic CD. If you use an input code to access a sound test screen from the main menu, you can play 3 sounds together at once, and a secret screen will pop up. The dark screen features Sonic wearing a creepy human mask, while spooky music and laughter plays underneath, and there's text on the screen referencing a magical Japanese demon.
That's so specific, I feel like I have to say yes.
You think that one's real? Okay.
I'm gonna say no, because I already said yes to one. I can't say yes to all of these.
Okay.
I gotta draw the line somewhere. I don't know why, but this is the line. Even though it feels like I don't know. I don't know, Chad. This is impossible.
Game number 3. Wait, sorry. So you said yes to X-Men Origins Wolverine, no to Sonic CD, right?
Yes.
Okay. Number 3, Earthbound. In Ness's hometown of Onett, you can access an infuriating Easter egg after what seems like an impossible task, killing 188 runaway cats. The assumed reason is that 1889 is the year Nintendo was founded, and that cats have 9 lives. Hence the 188 cats, 9 lives, 1889. Completing this simply displays the Nintendo logo with the iconic coin sound from the Super Mario Brothers.
I'm gonna say no on that one.
That one is not a real Easter egg. Okay. Number 4, Final Fantasy VIII. Poo-Poo the alien can only be hunted down... Oh, sorry, I forgot. I added something in the beginning of this. There's an alien called Poo-Poo the alien in Final Fantasy VIII. And it's part of a side quest, and you have to first hunt down and first investigate a stack of inconspicuous magazines a few times. After an arduous quest and the tracking of a set of precise locations, you get to battle the little monster. You can either slay him or turn him into a playing card. Is Poo-Poo the alien a real Easter egg or something I made up?
I mean, I could totally see you coming up with an alien named Poo-Poo the alien. I can see that. But I can also see Final Fantasy or Square Enix doing something crazy enough like that. I've done 2 no's in a row. I'm really just basing this off of how many times I've said yes or no. Because I have no way of really knowing any of these. So I've said 2 no's. I've said a yes. Even it out, yes. So I have 2 yeses and 2 no's
yes
now.
For Final Fantasy? Okay. The last one, Resident Evil 2. To see a strange and pointless picture of Rebecca Chambers in a basketball outfit, all you have to do is search Albert Wesker's desk 50 times in the STARS office at the police station.
Like, to walk up to the desk, hit the search button, hit it 50 times until you...
Correct.
Okay, so I've done 4 in total. 2 have been yes, 2 have been no. And just for the sake of having more yeses than nos, I'm going to say yes.
So yes, that one.
Because there's no way for me to really know these things in advance. And I feel like I got all of them wrong. But that's fine. It's all about the fun Easter eggs.
It is. So Holden, what if I told you that all of those are real except for Earthbound? Would you be surprised?
Yeah, actually. The Sonic one in particular would kind of surprise me.
You should look up the image. You should Google Sonic CD, like this demon thing with a weird ass mask on it too. Ass mask. You know what? Maybe I'll Google the image and that's how we'll end the podcast today. Sonic CD, weird Japanese mask. Yep, that was the very first thing that came up. Perfect. I'm going to drop it,
Send it to
right
me.
in here in OBS. It is, yeah, it's super creepy looking. It kind of looks like the Happy Mask Man from Zelda a little bit.
Oh, he's so creepy looking.
And then, yeah, it references this Japanese magical demon. And again, this is, you go to you like put in secret code that does this sound test thing, and then you play 3 specific sounds together, and it gives you this for some reason. It's crazy.
I don't see it. I'm on a stream. I don't see it.
Yeah, drag and drop is not working for OBS right now, so everyone can just go Google Sonic CD weird Japanese mask. It's the first thing that pops up in Google Images. And in fact, you might even be able to search videos and actually hear the music. Yeah, you can. Perfect. Go check it out. It's great. And that is it for Game on Game Show, and that is it for episode 190 of Respawn Aim Fire. Thank you everyone so much for listening to us. If you're watching live on twitch.tv/affableidiots, you get a special thing. You get to touch yourself tonight as a reward. If you're not listening live, you can touch yourself whenever you like as your reward as well, because you're still listening to us. If you're one of those people that's not listening to us, fuck you, and you'll never hear that. We have a few things that we want you to do. One, go to patreon.com/respawnaimfire. Support us at $1. You will get to play with us this week as we play. Did we decide that it's going to be Warzone, right? Because it comes on the 16th?
Yeah, we're doing Warzone. Yeah.
We're doing Warzone with the new update and the new map. No, wait. Warzone is... I think it's that. I think that's the Warzone go. That one. That's it. Because Destiny 2 is... And then Fortnite is who wants to fuck. That's it, everyone. We love you. Thank you so much for listening. Until then, until next time, here's our usual sign off. Who wants to fuck?